Hey, it's Jack, and this video is called the number one most confusing guy that you want to avoid being in a relationship with. Hey, welcome to the channel. If you're new here or if you haven't, I want to invite you to subscribe. You can just click the subscribe button and then tap that bell notification so you hear of new videos as soon as they come out. My name's Jack Butler. I'm a relationship coach, and I release at least 2 new videos every week on personal growth and relationships. All right, so let's get into it. What is this number one most confusing guy that you want to avoid trying to build a relationship with? Well, there's plenty of guys that you might want to avoid trying to build a relationship with, right? There might be the narcissistic guy, there might be the dominating guy. But the one that from literally thousands and thousands of coaching hours now working with women in the area of relationships, the one guy that I see is the most confusing and most perplexing is what I call a drop-off guy. So drop-off guy is usually into the connection, and he's perhaps pursuing you, he's making things happen, he's initiating, he's kind of like you're it, he's maybe into it, maybe he's projecting ideas about a future with you, he's kind of saying all the things that you and I would maybe say that we want a guy to say if he's really into a relationship. But the reality is it's not necessarily grounded soberly in a long-term future potential. And that's why this guy is confusing, because the relationship is kind of doing this, right? And it's kind of taken off, whether this is like the first few dates, or this might be that you've been connecting for weeks and months, maybe in some instances. And then at some point, he does this and he starts to drop off. And it's not just he takes a day or two and caves up in his man cave. It's like, wow, we used to get together and see each other 3 times a week, and now I haven't seen him and it's 3 weeks have gone by, right? Or we used to text each other every morning and every night. Now I haven't even heard from him in a week, and I don't know where I stand and I don't know what's going on. So if this has happened to you, I feel for you. I know it's really excruciatingly difficult. I know it's confusing. I know it can feel like you've had the rug pulled from beneath you, that your world's kind of turned upside down. Now you're like, I don't even know what to believe. Was that stuff that he said to me, was it real? It felt real. But now he's kind of disappeared on me. He's gone AWOL, absent without leave. He's kind of ghosting me, right? He's not really in communication. He's not really letting me know what's going on. And it's a torrid time, Now the maneuver here, if you're able to do it, is actually, I think, to move out of the analysis of why has this happened, and as much as you can, just to get with the hard edge, even if it's difficult, of this is what is now happening in this connection. In my experience, drop-off guy rarely becomes your guy, right? He's rarely your Mr. Right. You may have had an amazing connection with him. You may still have that, right? You may have had amazing moments. You may have an amazing physical connection. You may have all sorts of romance. And he is letting you know that by engaging in this kind of drop-off, whatever the reason, right, that he's really not your guy. That's, I would say, in nearly all instances, the truth of this situation. And you might eventually, if you grieve and go through the heartache and feel what you need to feel, you might be able to get into the perspective that, hey, I actually maybe dodged a bullet here, right? Like, I'm actually grateful that I got to see the kind of true colors of this. And I also, wherever possible, I want you to try and see drop-off guy not in sinister terms, right? Not in malicious terms. It could be that there's something that's happening that's sinister or malicious. And in my experience, mostly it's like he might not even be able to tell you exactly what's going on, why he suddenly dropped off. But that might just be what is now true to him about the connection. Now, one of the guys that can be confusing in here, you may have heard me talking about before, is the guy who's actually progressing the relationship as a due diligence strategy, not as an I'm in strategy. So what that means is he's spending lots of time with you, but in his heart of hearts, if he really got clear, he's actually still investigating the relationship. Even while he's maybe enthusiastic, sees it progressing, maybe he genuinely sees a future for you, in the same way that someone might be, investigating or researching a business, and they see, wow, I might want to invest and buy in this business. And then at some point, they actually come to clarity that, no, this isn't right for me, or no, this doesn't feel good to me anymore, or no, it's my intuition that this isn't really working out. And they don't invest in the business. In this instance, the guy doesn't continue to invest in you. And that can be heartbreaking, because he's, up until that point, been intimating and suggesting and sometimes even laying on really thick, right? I've had lots of experiences of hearing women's stories where the guy is like, he's more into it than they are, right? He's the one that's pushing the agenda. He's the one that's like, wow, it's you, you're the one, you're my girl, I can't believe I got to meet you. Now, a lot of that is romantic infatuation, right? A lot of that is falling in love, talking. He may have genuinely fallen in love with you. And that just sometimes is a different thing than does this relationship, once that starts to wear off, actually have legs, ground, staying power, commitment, ability to metabolize conflict, all the things that a long-term relationship might need. And he, bluntly now, is just not that into you. And as hard as that is, it doesn't get any easier if you start to over-ruminate about, well, did I do something wrong? Or should I not have said that? Or, because my view is, and you can take this or leave it, but try it on, is that when someone's your guy, it's not like a one word in a conversation is what breaks the deal, right? That's brittle. That relationship is fragile. It's not really going to go anywhere. So rather than being in a perspective, did I do something wrong? Maybe you can be in the perspective of, he's not my guy, and I'm feeling confused, but my job isn't to try and reel him back in, isn't trying to persuade him to be in relationship to me, isn't now to start to make him wrong, isn't now to say, oh, well, you said this and you said that and you said this and you said that, and try and incriminate him or do some forensics and put together all these pieces of information and suggest from that he should really be with you because he said he wanted to be with you. I'm not exonerating bad behavior by guys, and I wish for everyone that there was really good communication in this very sensitive territory. I just know that the reality is that's often not what's happening. That's not actually available, that conversation to say, hey, I'm really sorry, I no longer want to be in connection with you, this doesn't feel right to me, or to really explain that. You're just having to go by his actions, but we know, what do we say? Actions are more loud than words. Actions speak louder than words. There's something in really seeing, oh, okay, he has dropped this connection with me. And what I need to determine is whether I'm even open to the possibility of reconnecting with him, or I actually want to take my stand, claim my power in this situation, and draw my boundary, which might be like, yeah, that doesn't work for me. I don't want that kind of inconsistency in a long-term relationship with a guy. So I don't necessarily need to leave anything open to him, right? You could declare like, hey, I'm looking for something really consistent. This is no longer consistent. If you want something consistent with him in the future, I might consider it. Call me, right? That's kind of leaving the door open to the future. For a lot of times, that's actually not the right and truthful communication. It might be more truthful to say, yeah, my intuition tells me that inconsistent guy isn't suddenly going to learn consistency with me. So inconsistent drop-off guy is probably best, as hard as it might be in this moment, because maybe you love this guy, is to actually be in the reality that you have no future to build with this guy, right? If something comes up in his life that means he's, maybe like his parent is dying and he's got to go take care of them, right? He can totally communicate that with you. Even if it's sudden, dramatic, and he's full on with it all, he can probably just drop you a message to say, hey, I'm going to be incommunicado for the next week because my mom's dying, or whatever the thing is. That might be a little bit different, but your intuition will tell you, you'll know if there's something like that that's happening, because either he'll let you know, or if he's not, it's like that's really no way to be in relationship and connection with someone. And what I've seen in these situations, the vast majority of the times, is that it's not that. It's actually that he's connecting somewhere else. It's that he's decided he's not ready for a relationship. It's that he was never ready for a relationship in the first place. It's that he really likes you, but he's clear that this actually isn't partnership material. And you can go down the story or the route of, maybe he got scared, maybe he's commitment phobic, maybe. But if that means he's going to 100% pull away from the connection with you, that's not really a helpful narrative, because it kind of keeps you over there in his world, trying to explain him. And my encouragement to you, as difficult as it may be, is to actually feel what is going on for you, get some support around that, put some container around it so you don't have to feel it every moment of every day. Maybe you put aside some time in the evening when you're actually going to fully feel, grieve, journal, have a friend there, have a coach, whatever it is that you need. Do that for as long as you need to. But you're not stuck in the analysis of him and trying to work out, is he commitment phobic with me? Just know that maybe the right guy may still have some fear. Most guys do have fear of commitment, right? I can certainly hold my hand up and talk about that in the past. And that doesn't suddenly mean you just drop a connection, right? That might mean like you stay in connection, but you're perhaps a little resistant to certain conversations about things in the future or about the ultimate forms of commitment. But it doesn't just mean you become drop-off guy. Drop-off guy isn't even in the conversation about commitment. Drop-off guy has run out of the building, so to speak, or he's left a connection with you. And obviously for most of us, fear of abandonment is just about top of our list of our fears. So I get that this can absolutely turn your world upside down, and you don't help your own heart in this by keeping locked in an explanation and intellectualism about what's actually going on there for him. And maybe now you're interested in, oh well, he's got these wounds and there's all sorts of things that could be going on there. But what we really know, just with the clarity and simplicity now, is that this isn't your guy. And any kind of energy you keep putting into that, unless you're really doing some healing work, because you notice, oh, there's a way that I'm attracting this kind of guy and there's some work I want to do on who? Myself. We're not trying to fix that guy over there. That guy over there, we wish him the best. If there's something we really need to say to him, we say it to him. If there's something that we actually need to say to someone else just to get it out of our system, we do that. And then we try and, where possible, we give our blessing, right? In a loving way as possible, we say, hey, thanks for removing yourself from my life. Or, hey, I wish you all the best. Or, hey, I imagined that we were going to be together. And I get now that that isn't actually right for me, because it's not right for you to be in a relationship with who? Someone that doesn't want to be in a relationship with you. So much easier. Relationship has its challenges already, always. So much easier to be with someone who's like, yeah, I want to be with you. And now maybe we've got some work to do together. We've got some edges to refine together. But the guy who's gone, left, isn't coming back, isn't communicating, he's what? He's not your guy. He's what? What was that? Yeah, he's not your guy. And I can sound a little bit of a broken record with this, but I know that so much energy and heartache goes in this direction. What if? Wondering, should I have texted him back? Oh, did I say the wrong thing on the second date? None of that's relevant in my view. Because if I'm your guy, I might not like the thing you said, or I might wish you'd said something different, or also I could tell you, or we could do all sorts of things. But if I leave and I don't come back, what is that? What is that? That's not your guy. That's not how you're going to build a committed long-term relationship, right? Even before committed long-term relationship, just a real relationship, a relationship that goes a little distance can't be built in that way, right? So this is really prime information. And even if it absolutely breaks your heart, you want to try and be with that information and then make the best decisions for you in terms of your ability to heal and move on, rather than getting stuck over there with him, because that's his business. You're now right in your lane, staying over here, fully inside your business. Now you might say, well, what about for the future? How could I learn how not to be seduced in by this guy, right? And I want to admit it can be really difficult, because this guy can often present like he's really, really in until boom, he's not. So I would just say, take your time, right? Keep slowing it down. The right guy doesn't become the wrong guy because you took it too fast. Give yourself months and keep a little bit of an open mind. Right? Notice how sober this guy is. If you can look at his relationship with sobriety, that might give you a little bit more of a hint as to, wow, is he really speaking the truth when he's projecting this big future with me? Often your intuition might know, like, wow, sounds like a big fat claim, right? Maybe he can't even back that up. Maybe he makes big fat claims in other areas of his life. Maybe he just doesn't really know what it takes to mature into a long-term relationship, right? That's true for a lot of us. We still have kind of fantasy ideas about it. So slow it down, keep paying attention to yourself, don't discount red flags, and don't imagine that there's any kind of commitment here if there's not actually any kind of commitment. Right? So even if you've had a regularity of communication, if you guys haven't really had the conversation about what is this and where is it going, and you haven't had that conversation more than once over a period of time, you probably don't know where he actually stands with you. And until you've gotten through that like 3-4 month mark, right? Most of the time, if drop-off guy is going to show up, if you've been connecting consistently, like this is different if you're doing a long-distance relationship because it takes longer to accrue that kind of history together, and lots of guys like that pen pal communication thing if they're not actually ready for a real relationship. But if you've been connecting consistently in person, 3 to 4 months, that will burn through a lot of drop-off guys. Right? Beyond that, okay, that could be really confusing, and you still go through the conversations and you have the conversation more than once. Right? And you try and have it with as much sobriety and objectivity as possible. So you're not hearing what you want to hear. You're actually hearing what's there, and you're certainly not making assumptions and meaning from the little things that are showing up, right? The fact that he left his cereal packet in your house, or he left his underwear in your drawer, or that he's now parked his car on your drive long term. None of that is actually about real commitment in a relationship, right? It might be about convenience. It might be that he just feels comfortable with that. He might be the kind of guy who's like, yeah, I've actually left underwear with every woman I've ever dated, right? We don't know. And so we want to go into this kind of unsexy at times, right? Because there's something sexy about the unknown, about we don't really know what's here. Like, maybe this can go somewhere. But if you know that you're prone to believing and then having the rug pulled from you, you need to sober up, and you need to get into that conversation at an appropriate time, and you need to stay in it and see and allow it to update. And as much as possible, don't take it personally, but see who the guy in front of you really is and what this connection actually is. Most of the time, you slow it down. It doesn't turn the right guy into the wrong guy. He'll wait. He'll be patient. You need more time to know whether you want to sleep with him. He'll wait. If he's your guy, he'll wait. He'll understand that. He'll attune to you. If he's not, he might be off. And you might be like, oh, did I turn off the right guy by saying I didn't want to be sexual with him? No, he wasn't your guy, right? The fact that I wasn't ready and willing yet to be like, yeah, we're it. Even if he's in that level of enthusiasm, maybe in that situation, you're having to hold down on the grounded, sober reality. Take your time with that. Right? You don't need to step prematurely into a commitment with a guy where your intuition at some level is telling you, there's something else here. Now, what makes this difficult, obviously, is you might say, well, look, I have trust issues. So how do I know? Is it my intuition telling me that he's not my guy, or am I just keeping my walls up? Again, if you have trust issues, the right guy will be willing to work with you on that. And the right guy will maybe come to understand that it might take a while to gain your trust. That's part of the deal, right? So you don't need to move sooner with that than you actually need to move. And for most of us, trust is this kind of process, right? A gradually accruing, like testing, accruing more trust in the relationship. It's not, I don't trust, and then suddenly, wow, yeah, cool, I give you everything. Because that's a pattern I sometimes see where it's like under, then boom, over. Oh, wow, I gave him everything, I trusted everything. We moved in together, we joined our bank accounts together, we did all of it. And then actually, he wasn't there to show up. The other thing that you might want to be mindful of is that you can sometimes get into conversations with guys about things that are close to your heart, right? Like maybe you want to settle down, maybe you want to buy a home, maybe you want to have a child, maybe there's a certain lifestyle you want to settle into, and you want to make sure, you want to listen out for, is he willing to engage in these conversations because they're mostly really coming from my side? Or is there some sense that he's actually wanting to participate and maybe lead and initiate some of these conversations? Because that's also a little bit of a clue. If he's never initiating conversations about what's actually here and where is this actually going, he's not really leading that part of the connection. And you're probably finding out more about what he thinks in response to you than what he actually thinks and feels kind of primarily, like without initiation from your side. So pay attention to that. Notice who's initiating the conversations, and notice if what you're hearing from him does it land in you as like, this is his real unadulterated truth with me? Or is it that actually he's kind of saying these things in response to me kind of pushing the agenda, or me having my questions or my doubts? So I wish you all the best in this territory. I'm sorry if you've had pain in this territory. I hope you have less pain and more ease in the future. And the way to do that, I think, is to back yourself, trust yourself, slow it down, and let's get through those initial few months thresholds before we put definition around what this really is, because we can make all sorts of promises when we're falling in love. That doesn't have a lot to do with a mature, adult, loving relationship. So if you've liked the content of this video, I'd love to encourage you to take my free webinar. You can just click the first link beneath this video and find a time that works for you in your time zone. It's been getting really good feedback. It's some of the best material I put out. It's with my teaching partner, Clayton Olson. And it's the 3 keys to being relationship ready. It's potent teaching, particularly around some of the unconscious dynamics that tend to hold us back and tend to keep us in patterns of frustrating and attracting in the kinds of guys that we don't actually want to build a long-term relationship with. So if you want committed love, go check that out. It's free. It'll be some of the best investment, 90 minutes of your time. Just click that link below the video, find a time that works for you. And questions and comments below this video. I love the engagement of this community. Thank you so much. Happy New Year to you all. Looking forward to being with you a lot more soon, and getting on some live streams as well. So thanks for being here. Give me a question and comment, like this video. And as always, I'm Jack. Thanks for being here.